I was musing upon the heart chakra, and the 12 petals thereof. And I began to see hieroglyphs written on each petal. Now each petal does have a vibration for which there is given a Sanskrit symbol. Beyond this symbol, which is the tone that is chanted for each petal, there is then written the life plan of the individual upon these 12 petals. And as that life plan is translated down to those embodied upon planet Earth, so there is written the divine astrology upon the 12 petals, which are, you might say, the petals behind the petals. On the petals that are in view, we see the astrology, which is the alchemical formula written by the lords of karma for a life stream in the particular embodiment. The formula is written in the heavens as weights and measures of planetary spheres, fixed stars, cosmic rays and secret rays are brought to bear upon the life of the individual life stream. This is recorded as if in Akasha, and from the moment of birth, this is the individuality of the soul. Since the virtues of God are infinite, whatever the given chart of a life at birth may be, the individual is not boxed in by this astrology, but he must find the unique way to turn the key in the door of each placing in his chart, each point, and of all of the transits that occur throughout a life, and those which are noted as well on the progress chart. Thus, if one can find the alchemical key to the combinations of planetary spheres and the unseen and seemingly unwritten secret rays, one may discover that the soul has infinite opportunities to expand God consciousness through these 12 petals. The uniqueness of the teaching of the cosmic clock by beloved Mother Mary, the uniqueness as the application of the science of the spoken word by Saint Germain, does truly give to all keepers of the flame the means of transmutation of personal karma before it does become physical, by the charting of that karma and psychology on the cosmic clock. This, combined with attentiveness to the movements in the astrological chart, affords every individual life stream on planet Earth, regardless of how difficult or easy the chart may be, an equal opportunity to attain the ascension in this life. Astrology must be seen then as a path of initiation, of hurdles that must be leapt over. It must be seen as tests not passed in previous lives, or as tests passed victoriously, which now become springboards to victory. Thus the signs of victory of past incarnations are everywhere in the astrological chart. But one must identify victory not as something that is easy, but as something that one is given to master. Thus, the uniqueness of the heart chakra is the uniqueness of a life pattern and a life stream, and all that converges in a given life as divine opportunity. When hands clasp in a warm handshake, friend to friend, or by way of introduction, there is passed to each one the code of identity. Thus one comes to notice that no two individuals are alike, no two have a like vibration. One has an immediate sizing, a sizing up, as you say, of the personality, the vibration, and what is hidden that may be revealed. The individual's handshake then becomes a calling card. It is a computer code of all of the identity of that individual. Few can read it, but it is transferred to the soul, to the brain, to the Holy Christ Self, and it is filed. Thus one has stored in the computer of the mental body, as well as in the higher consciousness, the record and memory of many life streams. When you meet again, embodiment to embodiment, there is an updating of that individual life stream as the new chart and the new birth does give to that individual, it is hoped, new opportunity, unless, of course, opportunity was squandered in a previous life. Therefore, it is possible to record some individuals who have reincarnated, whom you meet again, have taken backward steps and are not as bright or accomplished in this life as they have been, for wrong choices made, for sullying their souls in the mire of the world. I would speak to you then of the meaning of this chart and this astrology, and how a very similar or even identical chart written upon the petals of the heart chakra might still find two individuals at polar opposites and entirely different in expression. Now we come to the illumination of the heart, the love of the heart, the will of the heart, the cosmic honor flame of the heart. Without the light of the heart, one cannot even see the divine plan or one's own life pattern, and one may wander aimlessly, although the compass of life and the chart thereof is clearly written within. Therefore, beloved, the point of God mastery through the heart, through oneness with the mind of the Holy Christ Self, through the expanded threefold flame, through all diligence of invoking the violet flame in, through, and around the heart chakra, for transmutation of all burdens on the physical and the spiritual heart. All of this, then, does result in the manifest expression of the individual. The individual whose heart flame does burn brightly, whose consciousness is one in Christ universal, does wear then the stars of the heavens and their positioning in his life as a motif upon his garment, much as you would visualize dear Merlin with a midnight blue coat and diamond stars and patterns of his own astrology embroidered thereon by angel ministrants. Thus the great magician Merlin, as he does wear indeed the true pointed cap of the wizard, does show to us that by the heart, the quality of the heart and the ray on which one does master the heart, will show forth the individual's victory over the hurdles, the challenges, and the easy rides that are variously manifest through these astrological configurations. As you make your daily and annual trek round the petals of the heart chakra, as round the cosmic clock and as round the heavens, you truly journey as a sojourner amongst the stars and planets. If you are wise, you will gather and call forth the causal bodies of these planets and the victorious ones who have earned their stripes through these planetary spheres. You will come to see, beloved, that without the expanded threefold flame, one cannot be the master of his destiny. It is simply an impossibility. Therefore, with all thy getting, get the threefold flame. Get the expansion of the threefold flame. Prime the pump. Express love, express wisdom, express the goodwill of the Father. Express the true cosmic honor flame of the Goddess of Purity, of the Divine Mother. The great mystery of the heart is that all issues of life are revealed therein. The issues of life are karmic circumstance, relationship, opportunities, livelihood, calling, all of the thoughts of the mind, all of the expressions that a life stream may experience. You walk then the earth with a sign, truly the signs of the heaven and the signs of the earth written in the heart. By then Saint Germain's mantra, I am the light of the heart shining in the darkness of being. That darkness of being does represent the electronic belt, the dweller on the threshold, and the astrology that hangs as a burden, changing all into the golden treasury of the mind of Christ. That is what the light of the heart can do. The light of the heart must be light, light in weight, joyous. When you begin to feel the heaviness of the heart and are weighed down, it is because that fire must burn more intensely. The violet flame will assist you in achieving it, accelerating the momentum of the threefold flame. But beloved, the threefold flame will not expand except by deeds. It is action that does expand each of these plumes. Action, right action, nullifies wrong action of the past, karma. To have thoughts of love or write poetry of love is sweet. But to take and quaff the elixir of the ruby ray and to become with Lord Shiva a whirlwind action of love, this is to conquer time and space and to liberate souls. Pity is not enough. Romanticism is not enough. Kind words are not enough. The flame of the heart of divine love does grow and intensify in great strength as you serve to set life free, to rescue life, to love life until those you love are made whole. A wisdom that is knowledge contemplated will not expand. The wisdom plume of the heart. This expands only by taking wise dominion over karmic circumstance, over every opportunity, neglecting not responsibility, duty, helpfulness toward life. If you have intelligence and knowledge and understanding and wisdom, you are compelled by cosmic law to share it with others. Teaching is the action of wisdom. Decision-making is the action of wisdom. But no plume is complete without the others. Thus the will of God enters all decisions, and the compassion of God cannot be left out, else decisions will not be correct. Wisdom is selflessness that is not blinded by the self. It is a surrender unto divine law completely, placing oneself under the law, yet in dominion over all circumstances of time and space. Wisdom, then, is truly illumined action. But action cannot be illumined except the fire of the heart burn. Where shall we go, Lord? For we must have a threefold flame and a light that expands in order to exercise its plumes. The blue plume of the will of God, that is divine power, must be the will of God in action. Those who have determined not to do the will of God, but to take his power from his little ones, to steal the light, to take the love, these have the antithesis of the heart flame. They have in the place of a heart flame a mechanized, mechanical replica thereof. It is different in all, but in none does it resemble the real divine spark. Thus the will of God that is good is a free will that is exercised to confirm and affirm God's will in action. Not God's will contemplated, but God's will in action. The flame of Christhood developed, these three together in all of one's daily life. Is the sharpening of the sword for the defense of God on earth, for the defense of God in his light bearers, in his little ones, always serving for the betterment of life, for the protection of the innocent, for the binding of those who interfere with the cosmic and global plan for peace and for freedom. Thus, with this teaching as a foundation, the knights of old of Camelot knew their calling and their responsibility hour by hour to champion the cause of truth and virtue and honor and justice by challenging all that would assail, all that would be the antithesis of these attributes of God in the body politic, in society, in daily life, in all that would affect children and every part of the community. The threefold flame, beloved, is expanded by expanding God's kingdom on earth. God's kingdom is God's consciousness as it is framed in communities and civilizations. And so you see those who defend life as the threefold flame of life in all expand their own heart flames. But those who dare not challenge the force of the anti-word within themselves or the force of the anti-Christ, those who find alternative paths where they are not on the front lines of receiving the light of God, embodying it, and helping others to do so, are those who avoid the binding of the dweller on the threshold that does represent the cumulative negative karma, hence negative astrology of the individual. Since there are many who will not say die to the dweller, hence there are many who will not say welcome to the living Christ. Those who refuse to put down the dweller are not actively engaged in balancing and expanding the threefold flame. Those who would like to do so but are not able are those who, given their immediate expression of the threefold flame and given their immediate manifestation of the dweller, are caught between the two, unable to exercise the capacity of their Christhood to the level necessary to slay the dweller. They find themselves without the ability to move forward, and hence the search for the teacher begins. One begins to understand the necessity of the bonding with the teacher, and more than the teacher, the Guru, who represents and is the God-man, the God manifestation. Where a flame does burn, a mantle is given, a hierarchy is bound, and therefore the entire weight of that hierarchy, such as the Great White Brotherhood, does assist each individual who does so put his hand to this plow, plowing a straight furrow of consciousness, studying the word, knowing the path and the law, using these in the defense of the soul, clasping the hand of the Guru, and then understanding that through that one there may indeed come the increase in the spark. Therefore, I will tell you of Jesus' dictation through me a number of years ago. You may have forgotten it, you may never have heard it, but you ought to listen to it. For Jesus explained that his mission was to come to reignite the threefold flame in all who would take once again the opportunity to forge a path of personal Christhood. And therefore he came to reignite that flame in those in whom it went out, who would serve a path of Chilaship until the divine law would accord them that opportunity. Jesus explained in this dictation that it was the only way that he could raise up souls upon earth whose threefold flame was so reduced by neglect and ignorance that they could no longer contain the level of God necessary to slay the anti-God, which was of their own creating. Observing this plight of the children of God upon earth is the reason that the Great White Brotherhood did form around the Lord Sanat Kumara, who himself pledged to be that open door, and the avatars who have come through his heart have all come with that one mission. Jesus then said in this dictation long ago that he could and he would, through me, reignite the threefold flame or increase it as it would be merited by those who would serve as his disciples and serve the path of Chilaship under El Moria and our sponsors. This was a stupendous statement and a stupendous gift for those who would understand it. I understand it more each day, for I see the desire of many of you to transcend present limitation, and yet there is a ceiling beyond which you are not able to go. There is a force of the dweller, more dense, more intense, more ferocious than you are able to meet. Hence the frustration when you awaken to this frustration and recognize that it is as though you are in a box and cannot go beyond, you recognize what a tremendous gift our Saint Germain has given to us in the revelation of the Holy Christ Self and the I Am Presence, and the gift of the call, the dynamic decree. When Saint Germain took his leave of the court of France, having failed to rescue the crown heads of Europe and to form a United States of Europe, he said that he would not be seen again for some 80 or 85 years. He went to the Himalayas, he went to the retreat of the Great Divine Director, and he pondered this very equation of so many good people upon the planet who would never get out of the box because they did not know of the path of the masters of the Far East. They did not know that there was such a thing as a Guru-Chela relationship. Many of these, such as ourselves, had embodied so many times, were so bored with life upon earth that it was almost as if there was threatened the eventuality that we would simply go backwards and lose what good we had for the weariness, the repetition, and the hopelessness of existence. Saint Germain came upon the means whereby those of the West could embrace a path more easily followed and more continuously known in the East. And that means that he devised for the Western temperament is the dynamic decree, the science of the spoken word, and his gift, the violet flame. I think every day what a blessed experience it is to be able to decree, to be able to make the call, to be able to increase light in our temples, in our chakras, in our threefold flame, knowing that as we, the prospective brides of the bridegroom, the divine spouse, may be the waiting brides, and may know that when, by meritorious deeds, by love, by devotion, by service, by the things that we can do, by the grace of God, the things that we are able to do, we develop a momentum, there may be increased in us, by increment, that fire. I had a very interesting experience a week ago Friday when you came forward to receive the blessing of the Emerald Matrix. One individual came forward who had made his resolution with my heart in a confession of a deed of folly, in betrayal of Guru and community that had been done many years ago. Therefore, this was a long-standing burden and a block to the path. So prompted by the heart and by the heart of El Moria, he did indeed confess this and receive his penance, and therefore also a profound teaching and an admonishment for life of what he must do in this final opportunity he had been given to be restored to the divine estate from which he had descended. Now, I think many of us would be surprised to learn that the opportunity we have today is our final opportunity. It is true for many good people, and it is quite an amazing thing to realize that this is the day and the hour appointed for our salvation. You might say it is the final opportunity in this Manvantara, this great cosmic cycle. But whether it shall come again in another cycle, we do not know. And so for all intents and purposes, it is our final opportunity. God does not reveal to us all at once our past or why we have come together with such an earnestness, such a determination, such an intense sense that this is the hour and the moment when all other things must be subordinated, this is the moment when by love, by true wisdom and by true power, we must enter in. This individual then came forward in line, and I felt transferred from my heart flame a divine spark to his heart of renewal and of increase. For deeds of merit, for humility, for the willingness to confess and be cleansed, and to walk a straight path back to the heart of God as a new creature in Christ. This transfer was like an electric current that leaped and caused me to jump. And he also did jump as he received it. This to me was the most stunning example of Jesus' message, his dictation that I described to you, and of this great meaning of Jesus coming into the world as the light, but that the world knew him not, could not understand him, could not see him. The light shone in the darkness of our ignorance and our karma comprehended him not. But John said, we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten Son of God. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. We are not the light, but the light lives in us, and we are all sent to bear witness of this light. That was the true light which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. That was the universal Christ of Jesus, the divine spark, the threefold flame. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, this universal Logos, this universal Word, which is this divine spark, this Christ of Jesus. But the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. And who are his own? The light bearers of Sanat Kumara. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Those who are born of God in the beginning, not of blood or of the will of the flesh, as mechanization man, nor of the will of man, but those who are born of God, these are his own. And those who were his own, who received him, received his heart. To them gave he power to become the sons of God. This power is the threefold flame and the increment of transfer. The increment of the transfer that can be received by each one of us as we come into perfect alignment, total alignment with this thread of contact all the way back to Sanat Kumara, which begins with our Holy Christ Self. It begins with El Moria because some are separated from direct contact with the Holy Christ Self by the dweller and by the electronic belt. Those who believe on his name, the name of Jesus Christ is an outer name. Jesus the Anointed. His inner name includes the name, I am that I am. He embodies the Lord, the I am presence. He embodies that Lord in his heart. Thus I am that I am, with the six-pointed star, is the sign of every one who is born of God. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. To see his glory is our desire, for by seeing there is transferred through the inner eye and the outer eye the arc of the light. We must be able to see and know the glory we seek to be infilled with. And that process is the very process of the dynamic decree. It is not alone those who have a threefold flame, but one that is inadequate, but those who have none at all, who may also receive that power to become the Son of God. And this is a most astounding experience that I had in my life with Mark. For we had a secretary who was very devoted to the Masters all of the 80 years of her life, who served Mark for many, many years, originally transcribed, published the first pearls, was head of the Rosicrucian Lodge in her town, and on and on. I knew this person, and yet she did not have a threefold flame. Diligent, devoted, a decreer, served with every breath and all the life that she had. By the conclusion of this incarnation, through this and prior service to the Great White Brotherhood, she earned a threefold flame. And before Mark himself took his leave, she had reincarnated in Maryland, and there she was with a tiny threefold flame. This is the great glory and the great salvation of God to us through the avatars that have come. And therefore it is not only whether or not one has a threefold flame, but whether that threefold flame is adequate and sufficient to the path of Christhood leading to the resurrection and the ascension. Concerning this, we ought to all be concerned, because you see, surrounding that divine spark, which is in the antechamber, the 8-petaled chakra, are these 12 petals in the forefront that contain that astrology. For one individual, that astrology will be the means of victory, because the heart flame can deal with it, and the soul has a resolution with that heart flame. But for another, he cannot deal with it, and therefore he is a creature of flesh and blood and the will of man. He becomes the exact outpicturing of the human aspect of the astrology and of the negatives. Absolutely predictable, like an animal in a zoo or a cage. He can be predicted to be in the mood of the signs of his moon, his Pluto, his various planets. Such an individual can be predicted what he will do from beginning to end in his life. Very little deviation. He's a product of the mathematics of his karma that he has set in motion. We are here. If you ask the question, why are we here? To increase the fire of the heart so that that heart flame does increase and become balanced, so that that astrology chart and that karma is merely the springboard to the ultimate victory of the Son of God. Therefore, attention to the heart is most important in these days where we do not know what the tomorrows will bring. Taking a single mantra of your preference, letting it sing in the heart, going back to it. Anyone, Kuan Yin, any decree, Saint Germain's mantra, I am the light of the heart. Surely he gave it to us for a reason. Having a mantra resounding in your heart because you give it so much aloud that it continues to be heard as the soul sings it in the heart, as the Holy Christ Self recites it. This means you are continually building that fire. I know that in my life, God has taught me and given to me opportunities whereby I could expand the threefold flame of my heart. He has taught me the necessity of doing so, led me into paths of service that had to be done. There was no one else to do them, so I did them. I had to find new and ingenious ways, had to figure out how to do all kinds of things. All of this with one goal. The Ascended Masters have only one goal for you and me: the acceleration of the quality of the heart. And whatever they give us to do, it is always to bring up the shortest plume, because we know that the two that are highest, or the one that is highest, will be reduced to the lowest common denominator of the rest. And so, welcome whatever comes into your life. Determine what it is, Christ or Antichrist. One to be embraced, the other to be slain. It is wise to know the difference. It is wise to see that a choice is made by each of us every time there is a knock on the door, the phone rings. There is always the choosing and the dealing with circumstance. Always the this, not that. Always the choice. Always having to adjudicate how we will use the energy descending, how we will mark time and space, how we will accomplish the daily tasks that God gives to us. Thus we have learned that when we are in the service of the great Ascended Masters and truly know what it means to be the instrument of God's work on earth, the greatest reward and the greatest gift we know that may come once in a decade, once in a half a century, once in a lifetime, is the increase of the heart capacity, the increase of the fire of the heart. That's what it's all about. That's why we hit our heads against the wall. That's why we suffer. That's why we are in pain, because the great law, the Holy Christ Self, will not leave us alone until we understand there is no other reason for living but this development of the heart chakra. So to see that the astrology and the karma, and then in the petals behind the petals, the divine plan of the causal body and the higher etheric body, all these are written, and that the options that come to us daily we exercise according to our present capacity. And our capacity to be, to do, to think, to will, to live is all based on this divine spark, how much we realize of the Christ. I believe then I have delivered to you the great revelation of the heart, Perhaps as you meditate upon the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Holy Spirit, you will also receive this revelation as a divine and an inner experience, rather than just as a telling from me of certain facts and information.